Today on the show, with a really good show, we're going to talk about webinars and what I see when we're giving a webinar, and we're also going to show you behind the scenes to what happens when I pick a logo for a product, and you can sort of see how our graphics process for our products comes together. So let's do it. Yo, what's up? Welcome to episode number two of Behind the Horns. I am swamped busy today, but I wanted to make sure that we got this in and you got to see a little bit of what I'm so stinking swamped with today. So a couple key things. I'm about to get on a webinar. So I am looking at the webinar setup right now and trying to sort of get, composed. This is webinar attire, by the way. But yeah, the biggest part about webinars, and it's like such a big part of our business, is getting on these things called webinars. If you don't know what a webinar is, it's just basically a big giant conference call with some sort of video. I usually don't have to put my face on these. It's usually like a PowerPoint, and we go from teaching something and typically we have something for sale at the end. So today we are, let me see if I can pull this up for you so you can kind of see what we've got going here. Today we're teaching something that's called our Wizard of Oz technique. So if I can just spin it around here, yeah, you probably can't see that. But we've got our Wizard of Oz technique, and what it's all about is helping small businesses generate leads. It's pretty simple. A little while back we put together this method of that you can go on and without having to pay for ads or anything like that, you can generate leads. So we're teaching that today. So that's fun, and I won't get into the specifics of that here, but a lot of pre-work goes into these, and we pretty much have it down to a science. This particular presentation probably took a couple hours to put together. And yeah, that's pretty much, yeah, it used to take me like a week to 2 weeks to put these presentations together. Now they take a couple hours, and typically, yeah, that's one of our big things and why we've become so successful, is because we have really good webinars that teach things. So that's the first thing that I'm actually working on today. The second thing I'll show you is sort of a logo setup. We have a product coming out, and if you want to see that, we'll go through that. So I'll show you sort of what this logo looks like. So every time we do a new product, and this is one that's coming up in February that I'm pretty excited about, my partner's doing it, and she's showing people how to outsource things and how she uses sort of the process that she put together to outsource things. So I'm having to come up with a logo and for this, and sort of for the branding, so when we present it. So I get a list like this, and this is pretty much the logos that we've got. Actually, we had another set of logos for it that came in, and I can show you that real quick so you can kind of see that. So we got two sets of logos. This is one set, and usually I get real complicated with sort of how we did this, but for some reason this one stuck out to me, and typically I like to be a little more complicated than that, but that's what we've got. So out of everything, I typically get a list of logos that look like this. That's what our designer will throw at us. Went above and beyond and gave me a bunch of stuff to choose from this time. That's probably my second place there. But yeah, so that's pretty much what we've got. And typically we'll settle a lot of times it gets super elaborate, and then sometimes I get silly and just settle on something simple like that. So one of the main questions that I get when we're doing webinars, of course, the number one question I get is, what's the strategy for putting those together? And there's no way I could cover that here. But there is sort of a template that we go through. And like I said, it takes me, an hour or so to put those things together now with that template. But what does your desktop look like when you're doing a computer? So I run all my webinars on sort of a 2-monitor system, and that helps me sort of keep up with what's, everybody else is seeing as well as what I'm seeing. So I'll show you that. Let's take a look. So this is sort of what it looks like. You've got this screen, which is what everybody else sees. And then you've got this screen, which is sort of how I monitor everything that's going on as we're going through it. So this would be your slides that, like I said, everybody's got. So let me kind of show you what's on this screen, because this is where things get sort of interesting. So this is sort of split into three major things. And the first one is, this is our hip chat. And this is what we use to basically run our internal stuff. So if I screw up, and Alicia on my team is on the webinar with me, if I screw something up, I will hear from Alicia, here. Or if I need something from Alicia, I can always type it into here, and then it goes directly to her. She'll be watching this during the webinar. So that works there. The next thing is sort of the Q&A. So when someone asks a question, it pops up here and I can answer it directly. I'm big on answering questions sort of as we go. Some people don't like to have their flow interrupted, but I'm more of a feedback, back and forth type of person. So I like watching this as we go, and I like answering questions as we go. So that's where I kind of see things. Over here, just in case you wanted to know, is going to be your GoToWebinar control stuff. So I don't use a ton of that stuff until we get towards the end of the call, and then I get to type the link in here, or Alicia types it in on her end. So I always have Evernote open so that I use the heck out of Evernote. And this is pretty much, I can take notes and it's synced to any computer that I'm working with. But one of the key things here is you're always going to have like notes for the call. So if there's stuff that I need to type in, it's going to go here. And this is sort of the link that goes in at the end. So basically, when the link goes in over here at the end, I just copy and paste that over there. So that's pretty much the setup. Like I said, you've got two screens. That's the monitor that sort of I keep an eye on things, what's going on behind the scenes, and this is sort of your front of house. So that's how that works. And yeah, so I'm about 10 minutes away from getting on, so I wanted to jump off here, say bye. But yeah, we're gonna get on to this webinar, and hopefully it'll be a success. This is sort of one of the main ways that we drive sales on a weekly basis. We always have things that are working sort of, on their own all the time, but new sales webinar based. So this is sort of the setup and how I do it. And there's a behind the scenes look, and hopefully you enjoyed the behind the scenes look of how we put together webinars and all that good stuff. So, yep, there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time.